Viewer beware, you're in for a scare.
Ginger Vault and her identical twin brothers, Nat and Pat, are lost in the woods. No problem. After all, Ginger did go to stupid nature camp. Still, there's something odd about this part of the woods. The grass is yellow. I can tell you why the grass is yellow. The bushes are purple. I can't explain that. And the trees are like skyscrapers. Then Ginger and her brothers meet the beasts. They're big, blue, furry creatures, and they want to play a game. The winner gets to live. The losers get eaten.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode 110 of The Horror of Babylon, where we discuss Goosebumps, the Beast from the East. I am Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
You're it.
Oh, you stole it. You stole it. And speaking of people who will not get eaten, because they are winners, and winners do not get eaten, thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the Fourth Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
And thank you to Forestman Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at shop.forhorsemancomics.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. Do not tag him.
He's a level 3 player.
I think he's 4.
Yeah.
I think he's the only level 4 player in the state of West Virginia, which means if you challenge him, like, you auto lose and he gets to eat you.
Just like my erotic friend fiction.
Yeah, exactly like your erotic fan fiction. When I was looking for Thrawn gifts to send you earlier.
Yeah.
And the one I kept coming to, it was Thrawn with a data pad from Star Wars Rebels, and it kept saying, "I'm not reading porn, I'm writing it." I was like, what kind of porn does Thrawn write?
And then Ahsoka took her twin tail.
All right. We need to. This is not how we should start a Goosebumps episode. Okay, so let's start with our history with this book, but also more importantly with just kind of Goosebumps in general. Why don't you go ahead?
I started reading Goosebumps when I was a kid. I remember that I would always buy like a crap ton of them at the book fairs. That I think were they Scholastic book fairs?
Scholastic, yeah, which they still do.
And I always bought like a bunch of like the Goosebumps. I guess you would like call them like toy accessory things, like things to put on your pens or your pencils.
Yeah.
Mummy erasers.
Mm-hmm. I had those. And
my teachers would always confiscate those. And I would always steal them back.
Bastards.
Yeah. I'm not sitting like, and this is like, I remember distinctly thinking this as a child, going, I'm not playing with this during class. Mm-hmm. What's the issue? Why are you, like, I didn't use the word bitch, but like, why are you being so mean?
You big meanie.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting there like, this is making me enjoy my school day just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. What's the hang up about me using a Goosebumps eraser, having something on my, like, maybe I'll get like 10 seconds distracted. But this was back when I still did my schoolwork, back before school got ruined for me. Mm-hmm. You know, and then I read some of the books. I didn't read as many of them as I bought. I still don't read as many books that I buy. It's a horrible... I think a lot of people who really like books, that's one of the, like, baseline habits. You know, biting off more than you can chew.
I saw this episode of Seinfeld the other day where George breaks up with this woman, and then he realized he left a stack of books in her apartment.
Yeah.
So he asked Jerry to go get the books because he can't go back to her apartment. And he's like, did you already read the books? And he's like, yeah, I've already read all of them. He's like, well, then why do you still need them if you've already read them? They're my books.
I also read books more than once.
Yeah.
I've never understood that as like a criticism, but it is a funny gag. Mm-hmm. But there you go. I can't remember if I read this one or not. A lot of Goosebumps I don't have like a distinct memory for, except like a lot of like the big ones. When
I go through the list and try, like when I signed up for Goodreads and tried to like log every book I've read in there, like I really struggled. Like, did I read this one? Am I mixing it up? Like, I remember the plot, but am I thinking about the TV show?
Yeah, there's been a lot of that.
Yeah. I also...
Like, we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
So...
Mid-30s. I also bought a ton of them from Scholastic Book Fairs. My mom also bought me a bunch of them. I definitely bought more than I read, but I also read a lot of them. When I was a kid, before I got into manga, I only read 3 things. Peanuts comic strips, Goosebumps, and the Bailey School Kids, which is, in a lot of ways, is very similar to Goosebumps. They're like kind of ghost stories for kids. Yeah. Not really, but so I didn't read a ton, but I did read Goosebumps, and I did read this one, and this one was probably the one I identified as my favorite, at least definitely in my top 3. I probably read it in like 2nd grade, and I haven't read it since. Until this. So this is only the 2nd Goosebumps book I've read as an adult. The other one was the first Night of the Living Dummy. But I mean, like, it's a huge part of my childhood, like, not only reading the books, but I read them in 5th grade. We did oral book reports, and I did Goosebumps books and just read it and got to go up in front of the class and act out the entire Goosebumps book for everybody.
I'm picturing it. I love it.
It's basically probably like the earliest version of the Horror of Babylon podcast that there is.
Only I'm picturing you as an adult, but you're wearing kids' clothes so they don't fit.
I also love the show.
Yeah, I still love the show. I think it's... I don't want to say it's aged poorly, but like watching it as an adult is different.
It has, but there's still entertainment value.
Yeah.
And I adore the first movie, and the second movie I think is pretty decent, and I want to watch the new show. I haven't. My kids...
If we get behind on recording stuff, we got the show.
Yeah.
So.
My kids like it, but I mean, Emma is more into like the movies. I don't think she's ever actually read one of the books, but it's not the kind of book she normally reads. So
yeah, she's never seemed to have gravitated towards any horror, or a lot of it anyway.
No,
like what's the closest thing to horror she likes? Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan, Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
like very very soft horror.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd probably say that Attack on Titan at the beginning's pretty strong.
It scared me. The first 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah,
it scared me.
Being eaten alive was one of my worst fears, though.
I was also super drunk the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I mean I wasn't super drunk, but I was hanging out with my ex-wife and Sam.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
This book was published May of 1996. It is the 43rd of the 62 original Goosebumps series. Of course, it was written by R.L. Stine, who did not start writing children's books until his late 40s. So, if you got to...
He gives me hope.
Yeah, if you got a dream, don't give up on it until you hit your early 50s. Then you can just stop trying. No, I'm kidding. That was terrible, terrible joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's funny.
Cover art by Tim Jacobus.
Did a good job.
Jacobus. for Everywhere But France, and France did its own cover art.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
By Jean-Michel Nicolet, which I've included in the notes here for Daniel. You at home, I'll put it in a YouTube video. If you're listening to an audio version of the podcast, just Google French cover of The Beast from the East.
I would not have picked that book up. Jesus Christ.
It's basically Dr. Manhattan's penis with teeth.
Where's the amazing list that we did earlier?
It's pretty crazy.
That's fucking terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
What's wrong with French people? What did Napoleon do to them?
He conquered them lots of lands.
Yeah.
There's no adaptation. The original Goosebumps TV series adapted 43 of the original 62 books, so this was one of the 19 that were not adapted.
They should let us do it.
Knew you were going to say that.
We'll just go to Anthrocon and pick out 3 furries to be the Beast.
Sure.
Instead of $1, baby, this is what we'll do.
They wouldn't even be mad. I'm sure they'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, because they're getting attention.
Goosebumps. You can't take you anywhere. So this is, aside from the Confederado, I think this is the first book that we have covered that does not have its own Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
It's mentioned on the Goosebumps Wikipedia, or on the Wikipedia page for Goosebumps, and the Goosebumps wiki, it has its own page, but in Wikipedia, it does not have its own page.
I should make a Wikipedia page for the Confederado.
I mean, maybe there is one. I'm just assuming that there's not.
Reviewed by the Horror of Babylon.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Structure and themes. Daniel, we talked about this in our FNAF episodes, like different demographics of literature, middle grade, young adult, and adult. And this is the first middle grade book that we've read for the podcast, meaning something that's intended for elementary school kids or like early middle school kids. Mm-hmm. What is it like to read a middle grade novel as an adult compared to reading one as a child?
Okay, so I have a sort of a unique experience with this. I told you about some short stories I've been working on, and those originally started, I was going to go, I'm going to try to write this as like, just kind of like a quasi-serious children's book. Mm-hmm. And I found that writing for children is absolutely impossible if you're not good at it. I cannot, and there's a way better way to phrase this, but I can't dumb down the language enough. Mm-hmm. And when you're listening to it, it's like, this is very simple, but I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Where, like, when you're writing something for, like, maybe someone a little bit older or an adult, you use a lot of metaphor. You use a lot of, when you say it was soft, like fresh sheets would be maybe something you might say for a kid, where an adult would use something more metaphorical that maybe someone doesn't have experience with. That's what I would compare it to, is that there's a lot more, it's very, here's exactly what's happening, so nobody's confused. Mm-hmm. That's how I would describe it.
It's like, so there's good writing, mm-hmm. and then there's bad writing.
Yeah.
And there's writing for kids and writing for adults. And if you said, what makes good writing, and you, like, listed out some rules, like, and then applied those rules towards things that are written for kids, mm-hmm. you might say, well, this is bad. Yeah. But it's not.
It's not.
It could be.
It's very hard for me to describe because I am very clearly never going to be a children's author. I don't think I have the talent for it. So that's my praise for Goosebumps, is being able to write a book that will keep kids interested, keep them reading. That's probably one of the hardest things when it comes to getting kids to read books, is keeping them going.
I started a lot of books I never finished as a kid.
Same.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, the chapters are too long, mm-hmm. or you don't know what the words mean.
Mm-hmm. You just lose interest.
But at the same time, it's not written too robotically.
It's simple and direct, doesn't use a lot of big words or fancy metaphors, but it's engaging.
Yeah, it's engaging.
I think that you should judge a piece of writing based on the audience it's intended for.
I think you should at least keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because there's children's book. My favorite book is a middle school book, Ender's Game. Well, it's probably my second favorite now. It and Shogun are always battling, but but I still go back to that one a lot. It's also, at least compared to some other stuff we read, very simplistic. It's above this, but it's also written for slightly older kids. I was gonna say, in terms of themes, I don't have a lot to say.
I didn't even write because it's not.
I don't think themes are that important to R.L. Stine.
Running is a theme.
Yeah.
Gross shit is a theme.
I think he
has tropes.
He has a lot of tropes. This might come off as insulting, but I mean it in an endearing way. He's very much like Zack Snyder, where I don't think depth is what's important. He's like, what's going to be entertaining?
Yeah.
The difference is I think sometimes Zack Snyder thinks he's deep, where R.L. Stine's like, no, this is fun for kids.
I think he knows he knows his brand,
yeah,
better than almost maybe any other author.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you get some fun experimentation with them, but for the most part, I'm writing books for kids to keep them entertained and let them have a good time.
Yep.
And that's how I would describe the book. Themes, making kids think about life or life lessons isn't that important.
This is not Where the Red Fern Grows.
Yeah.
Or Charlotte's Web.
Like, what's the big life lesson here? Don't get lost in the woods.
Yeah. Do what your parents tell you to do, dumbass.
Pay attention in nature camp.
Yeah.
More on that later.
What would you say are the key differences between horror content created for children and horror content created for adults?
I don't want to keep leaning on the word simple or simplistic, but gross is a big thing. Like, kids can... Very visceral horror. It's like, there's blood. There's a monster. Like, he kept talking about, like, one of the monsters is scratching out an eye socket. It's like, it's a gross thing, but to a kid that might make their stomach churn a little bit. It's gross out horror. It's very simple, direct, and it's not over the top. It's not going to make a kid feel existential dread. R.L.
Stine wrote a couple Garbage Pail Kids books.
Yeah. It's not going to and like the idea that you might get eaten is scary to a kid, especially to like a young kid. But it's not like I saw my brother die and then I had to live with it.
It's not like...
It's not Gage.
It's not seeing Eren Yeager in the stomach of a Titan with chewed up bits of other people.
It's not even seeing his mom getting eaten in episode 1.
Yeah.
It's just the idea that a monster might want to eat you, but you don't have quite a concept of maybe death, or even if you do, you don't have a concept of living with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the idea that something might want to eat you is scary.
It's just like, ooh, I don't want to get eaten.
Yeah, for kids, what I would say is you take the thing, but you remove like the existential consequences or the metaphor of horror. A lot of times, like good horror written for adults, it's a book about vampires, but it's not really about vampires. It's about maybe it's about living with something really shitty you've done and trying to find redemption. That kind of nonsense. That's the big difference between books for adults and children, at least in my experience.
The other homework question I came up with that I didn't choose is, what would Bill's English professor say is the meaning behind The Beast from the East?
That's not bad. I like that. All art is political.
If your audience politicizes it, sure.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Characters. Ginger Wald. Do you know what Wald means?
No.
It is German for forest.
She could be an Attack on Titan character.
Yep.
She wouldn't last very long.
I don't know. I mean, she survived it.
Yeah.
Oh, granted, that was a level 1 game. I think Titans play on, like, level 19.
I don't know. Like, if she grew up in that world, she might, like, handle normal Titans, but as soon as, like, an armored one shows up...
Yeah, I'm not going to criticize her too hard, because I think she did better in this situation than I would have done.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of spinning her around.
Okay, what do you think of Ginger?
She's fine.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about a lot of, like, Goosebumps characters.
I don't think... They're definitely plot-driven, and they're, like, set-piece driven.
Yeah.
And they're, like, what's the next gross-out?
Yeah.
There are very few... The memorable Goosebumps characters are all villains.
Yeah.
And, like, slappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're just monsters. Like, the werewolf from Fever Swamp. The abominable snowman. The lawn gnomes from Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. Like, the kids themselves, I'm not sure that I could even name another character.
I'm not going to remember these characters' names.
No.
In a while.
Yeah, and I only remember these because I literally read this book yesterday.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But yeah, I think she services the story well. I like that you don't get a lot of backstory and a lot of character building, and it's not super deep, but you do get a little about the inner family conflicts that they have, and she does have to push past the frustration and the bad feelings she has for her brothers and kind of put that aside to try and keep them safe.
Yeah.
But that's about as deep as it gets. Nat and Pat.
I would have let them get eaten.
They're little shits.
I always told people I always wanted twins, but every time I experience twins in media, I'm like, maybe not.
Watch the Octuplets episode where Apu and Manjula have their 8 babies.
So you're telling me don't drug people with fertility medicine?
That's yuck. How many of you gave her fertility medicine?
Especially without their consent.
Yeah. My favorite part of that episode is when they get all the free shit from the baby companies, and then on the news they see somebody in Shelbyville had 9 babies.
And they take it.
And they take it back, but Manjula goes, "Oh, that's barbaric! 9 babies!" Like they're fucking animals.
Let me tell you about how the twins represent duality of man in his face with nature.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't.
Okay.
Let me drink this wine and maybe I can bullshit something.
No. What about the beasts?
I like the beasts. Mm-hmm. I think they're pretty entertaining. I think the running gag of them, like, constantly going, "You've played this game, come on."
Yeah, you liar.
You're wrapped up in snakes. Of course you've played this game. It's so fucking dumb, but I love it.
I like the impression I got of the beasts is that they're also kids.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, adolescents.
Mm-hmm.
And they remind me of, like, kids who are, like, going to, like, Super Smash Brothers tournaments. And they're like, "Oh, you play Captain Falcon, you're such a bitch."
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was genuinely kind of entertained anytime, you know, they were, like, talking to Ginger. They're like, "Oh, you touched a penalty rock. Come on, dude."
It also reminded me of, Hef and I were in anime club in high school. Mm-hmm. And, one thing we did was we did a LARP tournament where everybody got to sign up for a character, and we did like a fake tournament. And we had like these group of kids. I assume you're familiar with the term god modding.
Yeah.
Who would just not lose. I'm like, dude, this is a fake LARP tournament for fun with no prizes. It's like, no, a dodge, shield, dodge, shield. I'm like, come on, just go down. Like that's they were constantly like making up rules as to why they win. It reminded me of the beat. The audio I was listening to kind of pronounced so the main one is Fleg, Fleg. I swear they said flag.
Yeah.
And I was like, the beast from the east is Randall Flagg.
I'm gonna buy us some of the Choose Your Own Adventure ones tonight. That's what we'll do instead of streaming video games. We'll stream Choose Your Own Adventures.
I think that we'd be better.
That'll be our Twitch.
We will not have a Twitch.
Hold on, no, I'll do a low-cut shirt.
No.
Kill you all! I'll drive you crazy and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. Is this book scary?
I don't even know if it would scare like a little kid. I think they'd have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I remember just thinking it was like a kooky Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, it's fun.
I do think, like, there's something menacing about the cover art.
Yeah.
Like, it could have gone in, like, a scary-ish direction, but no, it's not scary. It looks very Dr. Seussy with, like, a monster.
It's very scary how unathletic this book makes me feel.
Oh, yeah, I would die so fast.
Yeah.
I would die on the first patch of brown grass.
I just want to take a break.
I'm so tired.
What are the points even for?
But that's 60 points.
Can I trade this for not being eaten?
You touch the penalty rock, you go in the penalty box. So, like, if the person who is the beast from the east touches the penalty rock, do they just lose because you put them in the box until the game ends and then they die? Like, or can only helpers go in the penalty box?
I love it. Like, there's no, like, rhyme or reason to it, but I love it.
In the hiding cave, you can only use the hiding cave once per game, but can you not just stay in it the whole time? Is it not just, like, race to the hiding cave?
Did you not even know that I was in there? Like, if you don't know I'm in there, then how do you know that I've used it more than once?
Yeah.
Mr. Squirrel Dog.
Squirrel Dog.
Well, this time I'll have to tell them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
The second time the Squirrel Dog rats you out.
Don't use that word that way.
Squirrel Dog snitches get stitches.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. My king is the cover, just kind of slashed the nostalgia. It didn't really live up to my memory of it, but there's not really a world where it would have.
Yeah, it's not possible.
My Koontz is, I'm an adult reading a middle grade children's book that I read in second grade and loved. There's no way it can be what I want it to be.
My Koontz is also kind of like, it's clearly a book where I'm so far outside the target audience.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think there's a lot of redeeming qualities for it. And if that's the worst thing I can say about it, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't have, like, any real, like, criticisms or complaints.
And my king is the beast. I thought they were fucking hilarious.
Yeah, they're great.
Like, my god, dudes.
I love...
Dodge!
I was screaming at the book that when she tags Spork, and he's like, it doesn't count, and I'm screaming, you attacked from the west! They told you have to do it from the east! That's the one rule they were straightforward about!
It's in the name!
The beast from the east! Like, oh my god! And then she's like, oh no, the west! Sorry, girl. Rankings. I ranked ahead. It's not that high, but I don't want to take this as like a reflection of like my enjoyment.
Yeah.
I was entertained. I had fun, but it's really hard for me to say that it's better than Ringu or Carmilla, their Scarlet Plague. I have it at number 27, which is below Battle Royale. And above River of Teeth. It's below 2 of the FNAF books and above the Twisted ones. And that's... It is low.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just like, I cannot enjoy this the same way I did when I was a kid.
I agree with that. Find the Twisted ones, because that's going to be above the Twisted ones.
That is your second from the bottom.
It's above River of Teeth. It's above Dowry of Blood. I think I'm going to put it right below the other 2 FNAF books.
So it's your new number 28. So we put it in like almost the exact same spot.
I think that you can just get a little bit more out of the FNAF books, even at our age.
There is story and character. I mean, and that's a young adult book versus a middle grade book. So,
but like below it, we have some books allegedly written for adults. So
yeah.
I mean, if you like those books, all the power to you. But they ain't for me.
Homework. FAMC made a TV series adaptation of The Beast from the East, and the Walking Dead community shifted their allegiance to this story. How would the fans of this new show brag about their survival prowess?
You see, Ryan, I was in the Boy Scouts for like a year, alright? So I know which direction is east all the time. I'm always prepared to tag somebody, especially kids. Boy Scouts gets you ready for that.
I have a secret weapon.
Yeah.
That gets you all the points. I keep half-melted finger paints in my pockets at all times. My hands are always different colors. So whenever the beast from the east tags me and the game begins, I'll be ready. On a first date, I got finger paints in my pocket. At church, I got finger paints in my pocket. In the shower, they're on the little thing where I keep my soap in my... I'm ready at all times.
Ryan, you're so ready for society to fall to Beast playing tag.
My plan is to escalate past the levels like so fast and just become the highest tier so no one can beat me.
You guys don't understand. Every paycheck, he goes out and gets more finger paint. So it's stored up. Oh man, we're pretty good at this.
So ready.
Ripping on Walking Dead fandoms is now our new favorite thing.
Yep. For further reading, I put some of the obvious kid gets caught in a fantasy land and it doesn't go super well. Pan's Labyrinth, Alice in Wonderland, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
And of course, more Goosebumps
and
books.
And of course, more Goosebumps books.
Yeah.
Upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, the next 2 Sundays we are going to we're going to do Goosebumps 2015, so that's the first movie, and then the next Sunday, February 4th, is the first Sunday in February, so we're back on the Dark Tower train. Hef will be here. We're reading The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King, and the Sunday after that we'll do the second Goosebumps movie.
About the demon heroine.
The demon heroine. What?
From The Drawing of Three.
Oh, I haven't started. I've read it before. I read it a couple years ago, but I haven't started it again.
I'm burning through it right now.
Yeah, it's a good book. And then our next 2 bonus episodes on Thursday, January 25th, Treehouse of Horror of Babylon is back with Danger Things, which of course is a Stranger Things parody. And then on February the 1st, we are finally watching Luann Noodles, a.k.a.
Oh, I'm so happy.
The Ramen Girl.
I am so happy.
Go!
We need to make ramen for this.
Yeah, ramen's good.
We'll eat ramen during the episode.
Thank you to our patrons, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and...
Logan, the Full Metal patron.
And Ben the Fourth, the patron of Hope, Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
Oh, and thank you to Horseman Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at shop.forhorsemancomics.com.
He eats us every time.
And if you want to play tag with a short little bald monster, then hop on over to the Morgantown Mall and slap Ron on the back and say, "You're it."
Is he short?
No, he's
okay.
average height.
Okay.
Average height. But Wolverine is his favorite superhero, so I think he wants to get shortened surgery, like cut out his shins so he can be shorter like Wolverine.
He gets mad every time he sees Hugh Jackman. He's like, it's too tall.
It's too damn tall. Yeah, I would have had Hugh Jackman be Wolverine, but just had Peter Jackson direct them and do like all the Hobbit tricks to make him shorter. Forced perspective.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. Okay. And so we did this when we started doing Treehouse of Horror, and nobody took us up on it. But I'm going to give, and I didn't talk about this with Daniel. I'm just
doing it.
If the first person to comment on this on whatever platform with a Goosebumps book, one of the original 62. Any Goosebumps book,
we'll do it.
That's the next one we do.
Okay, cool. I like it.
First, and it's not you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can pick. I don't care, but
no, I like this.
So we're giving the power to the players. We're just like GameStop.
Maybe that's Wakanda.
Wakanda forever. Okay, thank you for reading The Beast from the East and recording with me tonight.
The sun's down, I get to eat you.
You can, but we gotta record Midnight Mass first, then you can eat me.
I'll eat you during.
Oh, I need to prep. You can't eat me without me prepping. I'm not into that. Thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.